Rolling on into a brand new week. Welcome to the show. I'm Sean Stires. Vince DeDario is here as well today. Get you started. I tell you what, Vince, this is like these last 2 days. Yeah, I don't want to be inside in the afternoon. It's too nice outside.
I just got in from being outside, and today on February 16th is the first day that I wore shorts outdoors.
Appropriately as well, because we all know there are some people who I almost hate to say it, but it annoys me when I see dudes walking around. It's like, hey, it's 25 degrees outside.
Right.
I'm too cool for school. I'm wearing shorts.
No, the temperature, I said if it gets 60, I'll wear shorts. I looked at the temp, it was 59. I said, you know what? That's close enough. Did the old walk around the block, got the dog out, that kind of stuff. Last couple of days have just been freaking fantastic. Now, yesterday was a jeans day. Today was a shorts day. So
for sure. I just went outside once again before I came back in the studio, and I was like, man, I probably could have just worn a t-shirt today.
I'm just saying. Speaking of t-shirts, I've got my new dry fit Irish breakdown shirt.
Nice.
New in the old merch store. So want to check those out. It is nice. It's I'm ready for summer. I figure I better bust it out here since it's like 60 degrees outside. So hey, I'm not complaining. I am not naive to the fact though that another winter is probably coming at some point. It is the middle of February.
Gotta happen.
Doesn't mean I'm not going to enjoy it while we're sitting here.
Yeah. But at the very least, the snow is almost melted. We can see the grass outside, and I kind of look around, and it's like, well, there's work I'm going to be doing here in a little bit. There's work I'm going to be doing here.
Everybody's lawn looks terrible because it's been flattened under all this snow. It'll come back around, and it'll probably get covered with snow again at some point. So, it is what it is.
We've got kind of a grab bag.
Yeah, we do.
Things that we're going to talk about today. There's a lot of different topics that we're going to hit in this first hour. We always hit a lot of topics in the second hour of the show, and Bobby will be along in the second hour
forgot about that
for entertainment purposes only, but
not for any kind of information gathering or anything like that.
Nope, none at all.
Pure entertainment value.
That's right. I was watching some Olympics this afternoon as we head into the home stretch for Olympics now. This is the
crazy
last week of the Olympics. Elena Myers-Taylor. Ever heard of her? You were in school today, so probably not.
Well, I wasn't because it's President's Day. But
that's why the mail didn't come. I was like, is this a holiday? I was thinking last week was President's Day.
It was a holiday. It was a four-day weekend for Vince Meister over here. So it's been great, fantastic. And I've been watching a lot of Olympics as well, but that name does not jump, right off my tongue. So I will confess that I do not know.
U.S. bobsledder. She won Olympic gold today
in the solo,
in the mono bob.
Is that new? Because
I've never heard of it before.
Okay, thank you. Because I know there was the 4, and then there's the 2. I had no idea there was a mono until I think yesterday they were talking about it, and then today I saw some of it, but then had to do some chores and some stuff. But I was watching a bunch of Olympics today, and like I said, I saw it. So she won gold. That's awesome.
Yes. 41 years old, the oldest U.S. woman to win a gold medal at the Winter Olympics. So very good.
She's no 54-year-old curler, but 41 is still a very, very, very impressive.
Unlike the 54-year-old curler, she won a gold medal. I don't think that guy even got a medal. So,
well, the men are still going, but he's a sub, obviously.
So. Right. I think. Yeah. Well, that's what I think that. He got in, the 54-year-old got in like on the first day of the men's competition or something like that.
Right. Because they're in like round robin and all of that stuff. So like the men's competition is still going. But he could win gold, but
Theoretically.
But no.
I guess.
She did it all by herself. She's not a
more theoretically. Yeah.
I completely agree with you. So congratulations to her. But the Olympics have been on fire. I've really been enjoying it this weekend.
Speaking of curling, though, have you followed this Canadian controversy that's going on?
Canadians are a bunch of cheaters, Sean.
Have you were you watching any of it live?
No, I only saw the replays of the Canadians. I've watched the Americans live.
Yeah,
both men and women. I've watched them live the last few days, but I did not watch any of the Canadians.
the Canadians with the double touches.
Yes.
Stones. And I got up this morning and I was
anything?
looking on my social media. I can't remember which one it was, but the Canadian was like, "Oh, you effing this, I'm not
the guy
or something like that." And the dude was like, "Oh, you're not cheating, huh? Well, I'll show you the video when this is all set." Who I don't even know what country he's like, "I'll show you the video." And then, of course, they showed the video on the social media, and it's like he starts to let go, but then he gets his little pointer's finger and he gives it a little extra poke.
a little oop.
Yeah.
And look, I am
Canadians cheating. I thought they were supposed to be the honest ones, not to mention dropping the F-bombs. They're supposed to be so polite up there north of the border, I thought,
apparently not once they leave the country. I don't know. But listen, I am not an expert on curling by any stretch of the imagination. I know the rules because I've been watching and things like that. You let it go. Does the little finger nudge really make that much of a difference?
Nobody else is doing it.
Nobody else is doing it. And I don't know. I just, is it worth it? I guess that's the question I would ask then. Was it worth it?
Because it's literally just a little poke, but it's against the rules.
Yeah. So you can't touch it once it hits the line, and both the men's and the women's team have both done it.
Yep.
So I'm sorry. Once it's one thing, twice you're getting taught. I think the Canadians are teaching cheating.
That's right. Put away the cigarettes and the Molson and just quit your cheating. Canadians.
Hey,
come on.
Where's Father David to defend his nation?
That's I
want to know.
I know. Father David, we need more Canadians to stick up for them. There's not much you can stick up for, I think, at this point.
I know. It's right there. It's blatant.
Did you see those, more social media stuff? I think they actually put it on. It was on the broadcast.
Okay.
Jordan Stoltz, the speed skater, American speed skater, he won a gold medal.
Yes.
I think it was yesterday.
Okay.
And they put a graphic of him and Saquon Barkley, of course, the Eagles running back, up on the screen. Stoltz, they're both 6 feet tall.
Okay.
Stoltz weighs 183. Barkley weighs 233. So he's 50 pounds lighter. But did you see the photo of their quads? Like we were talking quad god the other day, and the quad god took a spill.
And had nothing to do with his actual quads, by the way.
That's right.
Yes.
Like Jordan Stoltz needs to be the quad god, because like this guy, his quads looked exactly like Saquon Barkley's quads in terms of, full formed development. They were tree trunks.
I mean, you watch those speed skaters and how low, obviously, to the ice that they get, to cut down that wind shear and everything that they do. I am in no way surprised by the size of his lower body, because, oh my God, I mean, he's a 2-time gold medalist. He won the 1,000 and he won the 500, which has not been done by an American, I think, since 1980 or something like that. Wow. It's been a very, very long time. Yeah, Eric Heiden
in 1980.
He was a 5-time gold medal winner. And I think this Stoltz kid has a chance of, getting in that neighborhood.
And Eric Heiden was over there after he won whichever the first it was around the time they were showing the quads and all that stuff on the TV. But Eric Heiden, U.S., probably the most famous U.S. speed skater, other than Apollo Anton Ono, who's obviously short track.
Yep.
Same but different.
Right.
But, yeah. So Eric Heiden, who was in that documentary about Miracle, about the U.S. Olympic hockey team, he would his competitions and the hockey games would be on alternating days. So he'd have the day off from his racing, and he'd go watch the men's hockey team win some games. But he was over there in Italy, and he went up to Stoltz and gave him a hug. And it was kind of like grandpa, giving the grandson a hug. Eric Heiden's still in really good shape. He just got some gray hairs these days, 46 years later.
I was going to
guess.
say 46 years later. I mean, you give him all the credit in the world. Obviously, he was a top quality athlete 46 years ago, but you never know what's going to happen between then and now.
That's right.
But he has kept himself in fantastic shape, and I'm sure they have met before. Because he's America's greatest speed skater, and this is the next up and coming. So I'm sure they've met before. But that's really great that he was there to cheer on, because there's people out there that have set records and things, and they don't want to see their records broken. They don't want to, cheer on the next generation, that kind of thing. So I really like the fact that Hayden was in Italy. He's there to support, and he's the biggest fan. So that's awesome.
I know you're an Olympic head. You're probably too young to. Do you remember Dan Jansen?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like all the falls.
I remember him.
88 games.
Obviously, I don't remember Hayden because that was 9 or 11 months before I was born.
Before you were born, or whatever.
Yeah. But I remember.
Right. Well, it would have been 11 because you were the end of 80. Yeah.
Right. So, but I remember very much so him falling, and I just remember him like taking the thing on his. He had like dark hair and be floating, because it's the 90s. So, but no, 100%. I remember Dan Jansen. 100%. Yes.
Yeah. He took the unfortunate falls, I think, in 88, and then he came back in 92. And I think, one kind of avenged the falls and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, but so after Hayden, Jansen was probably the most famous for the wrong reasons.
I know.
But
he was so good everywhere else except the Olympics, for a while there anyway.
Just dominated. Yeah.
Yeah, just absolutely dominated. Yeah, 100%. So now I remember him, and then the female speed skater as well. Why is her name escaping my brain at the moment? But she was right around the same time.
Yeah, if you say the name, I'll remember it, because I remember, but I'm not. It's not coming to me right now.
Well, anyway,
I know what you're talking about, because she was really good, obviously, as well.
Yes. Yeah. And Dan Jansen benefited from the fact that they, the summer and the winter Olympics used to be at the exact same time, the exact same year. And then 92 and 94 is when they kind of split it.
Yeah.
And so the Winter Olympians kind of got an extra Olympics because it was only 2 years in between. So they kind of got that advantage. But yeah, I mean, that's, he won his, I just looked it up. Jansen won his gold in 94 in Lillehammer.
Lillehammer. There you go.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, the U.S. Women's hockey team, I don't know what the final was. It was 5-0 the last I looked against Sweden.
It was 5. Yeah, 5 was the final.
5. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they've outscored their 5 opponents 31-1 in their first 5 games.
Sean,
and that was the semifinal against Sweden today.
I haven't watched a lot of hockey in my life, but I do watch Olympic hockey. And it just so happened that the game was on today, and I was just sitting on the couch watching the Olympics, and all of a sudden it was time for the women's game. So I watched the whole game. And the first period, the U.S. goes up 1-0. It was exciting, but they were only up 1-0. And it was like, well, the Sweden team is the second best offensive team in the field. Obviously a lot of time was spent on the USA's offensive side, but they just couldn't get anything home. And then the second period rolled around, and it was like the floodgates just absolutely open for the United States. I think they scored 4 goals or 3 to 4 goals in the second period.
Yeah.
And then just kind of
That's what I was watching. It was just a barrage. It was like 1-0, and then it was just a barrage after that. I did not know until today that a former Notre Dame hockey player is the head coach of the women's team. John Robleski.
Yes,
is his name. He played for Notre Dame in the from 99 till 2003. The name sounded familiar as soon as I heard it, but it's been like 20 plus years ago. That was back in the Dave Poulin days at Notre Dame. So good for him.
That's
Notre Dame alum John Robleski leading the dominant U.S. women's team. I was just about to say this, Kevin. Bonnie Blair
nailed it. I don't know how that I couldn't remember her name because she was about as big as it gets, in speed skating back in that time frame. It was Bonnie Blair and Jansen. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Yep. The men's hockey team beat Germany. They stayed unbeaten. They clinched the 2 seed in the knockout round. Canada #1. So we're looking at maybe a collision course of U.S. and Canada in both the men's and women's hockey there.
Well, because I didn't see the final, but I know the other semifinal game For the women, Canada was in, obviously, and I didn't see if they had won or lost, but the winner of that one faces the U.S. for the gold. So I could be. And the women dominated Canada when they played them earlier in the Olympics. Dominated, like it was like 5-0. Something.
I was going to say
like
it was very
it
lopsided.
was very lopsided. So I was thinking when they kept showing Robleski on the sideline, the head coach or sideline, in the bench area, I was like, he's just kind of imagining egos back there. Like they got so much. They have so much talent on this team. It's just like organizing it and just putting them out there and just letting them do their thing.
He doesn't have to do the Herb Brooks. He doesn't have to make everybody hate him.
I don't think so. Not this time.
No, man. Yeah. So the U.S. men, they'll play the winner of the qualification round game tomorrow between Sweden and Latvia. Canada plays either Czechia or Denmark in the quarterfinals on Wednesday. So again, like I don't think they would play until the gold medal game if they get that far. Like if they, assuming they keep winning, right?
Because they're 1-2, so they're on opposite sides of the bracket. And I didn't realize that they had such an extended bracket for the men, because usually it's like pool play, and then they got 4 teams, medal round, that's it. But the men's, they have this massive bracket where with buys and all kinds of other stuff. So
I kind of thought so too. Are there more men's teams there this time than usual?
I don't know the answer to any of that. I just saw this giant bracket with all these countries in it, and I saw the U.S. were number 2, so they got their bye and they got a great shot at getting to the gold medal game, which is great.
Any other Olympic stuff?
Man, I mean, we talked curling, which obviously everybody loves. We talked hockey,
skating.
Yeah, I mean, hasn't really been. I mean, the quad god obviously messed up and he got 8th place, but he already got his gold medal in the team event. So, but he's young, he'll be back, so I'm not too worried about him. So, just a lot of crazy events in the Olympics. I'll just say that.
That's true.
A lot of crazy. That 2-man luge is an interesting one for sure.
I didn't get to see any of that.
They're like stacked on top of each other as they go down the track. It's just
I've seen that before now that you say that.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Like, how do you figure out that that's a sport?
Right.
I don't know.
Lay on top of me.
Let's see if we can do this together.
They should put this in the Olympics.
Just, I don't know.
I know. All right, there's your Olympic minute, more than a minute. We're going to take a time out. When we come back, we've got some Notre Dame football. We're going to talk about there's some news with the football team that kind of popped up this weekend. A little bit lighter than usual. We got about a month to go until spring practice begins. So we've got a little bit, but we're creeping closer to that. So we've got some Notre Dame football. We've also got some men's and women's basketball. They both picked up some wins over the weekend. So good weekend for Notre Dame basketball. We'll talk about all that and more on this show with Vince DeDario, Sean Stires, Budweiser's weekday sports beat with IrishBreakdown.com. We continue Budweiser's weekday sports beat with IrishBreakdown.com with Vince DeDario. I'm Sean Stires. Little this, little of that in this first hour of the show today. It's kind of the first time in a while we haven't had we had Super Bowl last week. We're in the middle of the Olympics and all that kind of stuff, so that's always fun. We started with a little Olympic talk. Just some little tidbits in terms of football coming out this weekend. For starters, I just saw this on social media. Did you see CJ Carr gave his offensive lineman some Bose headphones?
Love it. I love it. Spreading the wealth, and of course, if you're a quarterback, you got to spread your wealth to the offensive line. And he didn't just give it to the starters. That was a very full room of offensive linemen. I mean, there's pushing 20 offensive linemen on that team. So not that it's necessarily coming out of CJ Carr's pocket, but still. It's the thought that counts, and I'm sure that those guys aren't giving it back. So
that's right.
Good for CJ to hook up his offensive lineman. I like that.
I thought it was funny because it looked like one of them had, they were like the camera was kind of panning around, and they were sitting it was kind of like school desks or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was like the offensive line room or something like that. And CJ just popped in, but he had looks like some Taco Bell hot sauce packets on his desk.
I didn't see that. That's great.
Felt kind of random, but I didn't see the actual food there, just the hot sauce packet.
Sure.
But I saw this on NIL. CJ's NIL valuation, he's worth more than $1.3 million, which not surprising. He's a quarterback at Notre Dame. According to On3, though, the 22nd highest in college football. You think that's good, bad?
It's interesting to me because, that's his valuation. That's not what he's actually making. And so it's I wonder what he's actually bringing home. I do think if we're just going off of the list, there is no reason he should ever be in the 20s on this list. That's ridiculous. The top 10 at the worst.
Right. You wouldn't think so. Quarterback at Notre Dame, after you had a great first starting season and now you're a Heisman Trophy favorite. I think I saw the other biggest kind of NIL deal that he's got. It's like a car dealership or something like that.
I could see that. I just have a very, very good feeling he's making more than that, and that Notre Dame is taking care of him just fine. So
I'm sure. I'm very sure. Rob says On3 hates CJ Carr. On3 hates everybody.
I'm just going to say anybody that wears a golden helmet, they're not a fan of, so it's okay.
That's right. Yeah. Just come to that realization, and you'll be a lot happier.
Yeah. Look, here's the bottom line: CJ Carr is doing just fine, and most of the guys playing for Notre Dame are doing just fine. So, what we know for a fact is that Notre Dame is doing pretty much everything they need to do in the NIL space, because they've got the most talented roster in college football. So I'm not concerned, but that number is very low, and I think it's higher than that.
Yeah. Justin says Ari hates CJ, and he's talking about, is it Wasserman? Is that his name?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Ari Wasserman. I mean, he told on himself during the whole lead up to the college football playoff.
He told on himself.
Just with all the fits that he threw about, Notre Dame and Miami and all that kind of stuff. Come on.
Clickbait.
Andre wants to know if we're going to be at the Blue Gold game. Of course we're going to be at the Blue Gold. We will actually be broadcasting the Blue Gold game. We're very excited about it right here on Sports Radio WSBT. You'll be able to find that, I believe, in the Odyssey app. You find everything. If nothing else, it'll be, I know, in the Sports Radio WSBT app. But yes, we will definitely be there.
It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I actually trying to remember. I feel like I've had conflicts with the actual Blue Gold game the past couple of years. Normally because it doesn't really matter, but I'm excited for this year. It's going to be fun. You and I back in the booth doing our thing.
Yeah.
Woo.
Jesse's going to be there.
Jesse is a man about town.
You're saying Jesse's a little bit of everywhere?
Dare I say a jet setter?
Yeah.
And I love the kid. I coached him. We worked together. I'll believe Jesse's going to be there when he walks in the door.
Okay.
That's just, and that's not even a knock on Jesse. That's
fair point.
I could see something better coming up. That's all I'm saying.
That's true.
He's a busy guy.
It's very true. I mean, you can do that when you're still a newlywed and you don't have kids. And
which is why I'm throwing zero shade his way. Like, do you, buddy, before like any kids are running around, like go do your thing, jaunt off to Myrtle Beach for a golf trip with the boys.
Yeah.
All of the,
why not?
You do you, brother. So
if you can get it right.
Yeah. I mean, he's got Blue Gold Game penciled in it's how I see it on his calendar.
Fair. That's very fair. That's very fair. Because I'm trying to like April. I don't know of any specific conflicts that would come his way, but I guess we'll find out.
Well, and it's out of town for him. You and I, it's down the street, so that adds a little layer of complexity per se. But I hope he does show up. It'd be fun for the three of us to be in there.
Yeah, he's wanted to get back the last couple years, but just I don't think he's had quite the incentive.
Now he does.
There's more incentive now.
There's a headset waiting for him.
He's already guaranteed that he's going to be better than Chris Collinsworth. So,
wow. Maybe the kid, but I don't know about Chris.
Ooh, okay. I still think Chris was better like 10, 15 years ago when he was willing to be more critical.
You think he's
not that Jesse needs to be critical,
right?
You need to be critical as analysts.
Well, and for the Blue Gold Game, that's not really the
like vibe. Not even critical. It's just like he used to really have real opinions about things during when he was still doing NBC games with Al Michaels. He used to have real opinions, but now it's just I love this guy and I love that everything is a love fest with Collinsworth.
Yeah. I see it. I see where you're coming from. He's kind of put the announcing career in coast mode. Is that a good way to put it?
Yep.
So
yep.
Yeah, I see that. I do.
I mean, he's still solid. He's he knows the rules. He's on top of stuff. It's just a little more touchy-feely than it used to be. Maybe it's just the way the whole game has evolved. The broadcasting game, like really, other than Aikman today, and I think maybe a little bit Olsen, like those are probably two of the more like guys who are willing to come out and say something in a broadcast. Other than that, guys kind of they ride that fence a little bit, I think.
I mean, when you get older, especially guys, like they mellow out, you see it all the time. Like dads are super hard on their kid and then they become a grandpa and they're a pushover.
Right.
Collinsworth's heading in that direction. So he's not, he's just nice. He's a nice guy now.
Yep. That's right. So Notre Dame did add a pair of assistant position coaches to the staff over the weekend. They got former Wake Forest linebacker Chase Jones to be an assistant linebackers coach. He was a two-time captain at Wake Forest. And they also got a former running back, Sean Shivers. He played at both Auburn and Indiana. He's going to be assistant wide receivers coach. He had apparently accepted like a regular full-time offensive assistant position at Eastern Michigan last year. And then this offseason, that's where he was last year. Not apparently. He did have that job last year.
Allegedly.
This year, he had accepted a position with Florida State as an assistant running backs coach, but he's decided to come to Notre Dame instead to be assistant wide receivers coach. So I thought that was an interesting move. What'd you think of these two? Did it pop the radar for you, or did it? These are much more. These assistant position coaches are much more behind the scenes, like guys we never get to talk to,
right,
and barely get to see, if at all.
This is literally the definition of it must be a slow news day if this is what we're talking about. Like that, honestly, that's what I thought. Like this is like the assistant to the assistant general manager position. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's pretty down low, but awesome that they're getting quality guys that have experience. I mean, all of that is good because there's a lot of times where the position coach is doing something else, and then or they split up. You get outside backers with inside back, away from inside backers, or slot receivers and outside receivers. And so these assistants are very important guys, but they just don't hit on our radar very often.
That's the thing. Like they're not going to get any of the credit. Yeah.
Right. Unless you're deep into the coaching world, like the coaching carousel, and who these coaches are. You and I have discussed this before. Like even when Notre Dame hires regular assistants, we're like, well, we don't really know these guys and we don't know who would be good in this position and things like that, because we're just not dialed in to the entire landscape of coaching. you've got to be really dialed into the landscape of coaching to be
No, that's
analyzing
exactly right.
the assistant to the assistant's jobs,
Yeah.
But it's a very important job. Like I said, they do a lot. They do just as much coaching as the regular assistants. They just get no credit or blame.
But I tell you what, I do think it's interesting that like Shivers as the example, because he played running back. He was going to go to Florida State to be the assistant running backs coach, but instead he's coming to Notre Dame to coach another position, wide receiver, still the assistant. But I think it speaks to Notre Dame's place in the pecking order of the college football world right now. Like you've got a lot better chance, I think, as one of these guys to come and advance your career by joining up on Marcus Freeman's staff for a year or two and give yourself a real chance to springboard and get one of those full-time positions out there within the next couple of years.
Let's see, the head coach of Florida State versus the head coach at Notre Dame, whose seat is hot and whose seat is not.
Man.
You know what I mean? Like Mike Norvell, who knows what's going to be in store a year from now and down there. So yes, Notre Dame is a better job just in general, but especially right now, just from the volatility of the head coaching spot.
Salty wants a show on all the analysts and graduate assistants. Man,
that might be a better show at the 1 o'clock hour. Just FYI,
right.
Brian is way more dialed into that than Sean or I are. There is no way, no
kidding. And, there were also a lot of rumblings over the during this offseason over the past month and a half or so about Loren Lando, the strength coach, performance coach, whatever. I think most people still just refer to it as the strength coach, but he's
got a longer title, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But some NFL interest in Lando, but he has apparently turned down those offers to go back to the NFL to stay at Notre Dame. This feels pretty significant to me. What do you think?
It's significant that he turned it down. There's no doubt about it that he's found a home here. And I have no idea what his family situation is, if he's got kids in school or anything like that. I have no idea. But what I do know is the less change, the better when you're talking about your coaching staff. And he is essentially, and we've talked about this before, he's essentially the head coach of the offseason. All right. So obviously he is conducting the offseason program that he has designed. It's been approved by Marcus Freeman or in conjunction with Marcus Freeman, all those kinds of things. But as far as like the amount of time you're allowed to spend with players, the strength coach can be there 24/7. You know what I mean? And so, right. I mean, he's the head coach of the offseason. The strength coaches are extremely important. And to switch a strength coach right now in the middle of the offseason would have been tumultuous, not deadly, but it would have been tumultuous. And if you can avoid that, even better. So I think it's a big deal keeping him around.
No, I do as well. And I think that there, in his first season, you had a lot of people wanting to point the finger at Lando because you had a lot of guys with knee injuries. And, anytime there's any injury, someone has to have somebody to blame. It can't just happen in a contact sport like football where guys get hurt all the time. It's got to be somebody's fault. It's got to be the strength coach's fault for the injuries. And things were obviously a lot different in year 2 than year 1. I mean, now you did have a very significant injury to Jaden Greathouse that lingered all year long. But other than that, it was, yes, you had some other guys get hurt. Craig got hurt again. And there were, there were some guys, that it's football. Guys got hurt.
Right.
But it wasn't at the level as his first year. So I think that whether you can actually attribute anything to him or not, like in terms of cause and effect and all that kind of stuff, it felt like there was at least a little bit, a lot less ire directed at Loren Lando and at least, a little bit more sort of respect his way because, like look at Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love as an example, like one literal workhouse and a workhorse and another guy who took a lot of snaps himself, but like both of them were performing at peak levels all year long, and never had any injury. And that's after Love's, had that MCL sprain at the end of the 2024 season. I was got kind of caught in between, like saying last year,
I know, right?
how we're kind of in that middle ground.
We
right?
are. We're in that gray area.
Yeah.
My two favorite complaints when it comes to injuries, it's the strength coach, or as Joe Allen said, it's the Under Armour
Under Armour
shoes.
shoes. That's
Those,
right.
those
There's a
are my.
little wink emoji. There is a wink emoji
I
there.
know he's being sarcastic, which I really appreciate. By the way,
there are a lot of people who blame the shoes.
oh, I love it. I mean, anytime there's an injury, you might as well just throw those two excuses right into the mix because they're both coming. So prepare yourself.
Yeah. So, but then, again, Terry says, how about injuries to the kicker? Because again, somebody's got to be to blame. It
Right.
can't be the kicker got hurt. But based on everything that we've heard, there was an existing injury to Noah Burnett when he came to Notre Dame from North Carolina. And that's, what was a big part of the issue.
Yeah.
And it's just once they got to the point of where it was, that it just wasn't able to get better.
And you just kicker injuries are unique, obviously, but if you figure, this is a lever situation, you do this enough, like this area right here or this area right here, it's just a lot of use over and over and over and over. And if you don't take proper care of yourself, you're gonna get injured. Like it's gonna happen. So,
and if you're not communicating that
that's
you're injured and you
big
keep
piece
going,
of it.
it makes it even worse.
That's
and again, I think that's
right.
A big part of it.
Big piece of it for sure. Yeah.
All right, last break this hour. We're going to come back, talk a little Notre Dame hoops. Big weekend for Notre Dame men's and women's basketball. Baseball also started off the season. We've even got a little wrestling to drop.
Yes.
Wrestling, yes, wrestling. State tournament coming up this weekend in Indianapolis here in Indiana. We'll do all that when we return. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Budweiser's weekday sports beat with IrishBreakdown.com continues. I'm Sean Stires with Vince DeDario. We've got rapid fire coming up in hour number 2. All kinds of juicy topics we'll get. We've got some Notre Dame football. We've got some basketball. I can't even remember all the stuff we've got. It's just
we're just peppering them all, man. Pew pew.
I know. A little of this, a little of that. How about a little men's basketball? Just when you thought that maybe like they were about to bottom out, they hosted Georgia Tech Saturday. They're already without Marcus Burton for like 2 months plus at this point. And then Jalen Harrelson also out Saturday against Georgia Tech. And it's like, oh, are you kidding me?
Well, here we go.
It's going to happen now. Well,
Georgia Tech was the team to have them out for.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. 89-74. They beat Georgia Tech behind Cole Serta's 37 points, which is tied with Matt Farrell for the second most for a Notre Dame player in ACC history. Marcus Burton's 43 last year against Cal is the record, but Serta hit 7 3-pointers as well to snap a 5-game winning
losing streak. Yeah, something along those lines.
5-game losing streak. They're now in 15th place in the ACC. Only 14 teams make it to the ACC tournament. They've got 5 games to go. They've got Pitt, Duke, NC State, Stanford, Boston College. Pitt and BC each have 2 wins in ACC play right now. Stanford is 5-8. Duke is obviously up at the top of the conference. NC State is a little I think they're in 4th place or something.
Yeah,
like
they're 9-4.
I think at the very worst, you've got 3 very winnable games as you try to scrap your way into a spot in the ACC tournament.
Man, so 4 teams are getting left out. Notre Dame is the first one out, right? That's basically
right now.
Yeah, that's basically where we stand. And there's Notre Dame's got 3 conference wins, and the 3 teams below them, Boston College, Pitt, and Georgia Tech, have 2. There's a lot of mediocrity down there at the bottom. The problem is, Wake Forest has 4, and then it goes up to 5. I think 2 teams have 5. I think a bunch of teams have 6.
Yeah.
So, if they can get a couple of wins, they can get into the tournament. I mean, look, at this point, what is the realistic, outcome of this season? It's get into the tournament, maybe win a game. Like
ACC tournament, just to make sure everyone's
clearly the tournament I was referring to. Yes.
Yes.
Because they're not going to make the NIT. They're not going to make the NCAAs. So it's, hey, try to get a little bit of momentum going into the offseason. Then they got another good recruiting class coming in. And you just try to, make hay in the offseason so you can do something next year. And then, of course, the number one priority in the offseason is keeping Marcus Burton in a Notre Dame uniform.
Yeah.
So, but we'll talk about that once the season expires.
Really retaining, like Serta, I think, has to be a priority at this point now.
You got to keep your team together. I mean, and we've talked about this from the football side of things, but it's also true in basketball and any other sport. As a head coach and as a coaching staff, the priority of keeping your team together has very quickly risen up the ranks of importance.
It's
with
not
how you
just
coach
recruiting
your team
anymore. Yeah, you got to retain that roster.
Ooh. Yeah,
as soon as everyone's a free agent every year, and that's what's people talk about. Like college becoming professional sports. In a lot of ways, it's even worse because of that. At least in professional sports, you have a contract that you sign for X amount of years. In college, everyone's a free agent every year.
Yep. And
that's what makes it tough. You have one big year, and then all of a sudden you become a commodity out there.
The school is involved there, like how much NIL, how much this, how much that. So you're working with the school, you got the general manager now. There's a lot of moving parts. And we know a year ago, Marcus Burton turned down a lot of money to go to a different school. And that's not going to change, I don't think, this offseason, even with his injury and everything else. So they better do some yeoman's work to keep him around.
I agree. Brian NY says they need to hire a stud coach. I'm telling you, I just don't see
that's not going to happen.
I don't see them eating 4 years on Shrewsbury's contract. I don't.
Not at this point.
No.
And he does have a good recruiting class coming in, and he had a good one come in this year. And so, that part, he's checking the boxes, right? The game day stuff has to be better. No doubt about it. But you do have to cut him a little bit of slack because his best player got hurt. I mean, that's still a reality. That's not the whole excuse because there's been plenty of issues, but you have to give him a little bit of slack because his best player got hurt.
You do. Notre Dame women picked up a big win over NC State 79-67, and the game wasn't as close as the final score. They were up by 27 in the second half, and they just kind of got a little, take some air out of the ball. Let's kill as much clock as possible. NC State hit a few shots. Notre Dame, I think, finished one of their last 7 or something like that. But at the end of the day, a double-digit win over a team that was in front of you, still is in front of you in the conference standings right now. Hidalgo had 19 points, 8 rebounds, 6 steals, and 6 assists. Great overall game. We've got a couple comments in the YouTube chat. Andre, great game. They played with more physicality than I've seen them play over the last 10 games. I would agree with that. And I was really both Notre Dame and NC State had a full weekend between games. Neither one of them played last Thursday. So they had both been off for the exact same amount of time. And they just really, NC State did not look like a very inspired team out there to me. And Notre Dame took it to them. Hit some shots. They forced a lot of turnovers, scored a lot of points off turnovers. That was really big for them. So, I think the big picture is probably what everyone's looking at, though. Joseph asked what their chances are for the NCAA tournament. Well, Joseph, it's funny you asked that. They are 8-6 now in ACC play, 16-9 overall. And they have their net ranking moved up to number 26. So they are now 26 in the net ranking in the nation, the 5th best in the ACC behind Louisville, Duke, North Carolina, NC State. And of course, the Irish now have wins over 2 of those teams, North Carolina and NC State. Yesterday was a quad 1 win, so that is their 4th. They have that's the 3rd best among ACC teams, 4 quad 1 wins. Louisville and Duke are the only 2 teams in the ACC with better quad 1 wins, and they have also moved up from 35 to 31 in the wins above the bubble metric. And we haven't talked a lot about wins above the bubble, but what it is, it shows how many more or fewer wins a team has compared to what an average bubble team, would average with the same schedule. So it's kind of like a, wins above replacement, that kind of thing, but they call it wins above the bubble. They're still projected as an 8 seed in the latest ESPN bracketology. The magic number I keep looking at, especially considering they have a 26 net ranking, is they need 2 more wins. They need 1 more win to guarantee they'll be 500 in ACC play. They need 2 more wins to guarantee they will be above 500 in ACC play. So I've said all along, if they get to 10, they're going to be in. And so if you're asking me right now what their tournament chances are, I would say 9.5 out of 10. They go to Wake Forest Thursday. They go to SMU on Sunday. Those are 2 teams at the bottom of the conference right now. They win those two games. I am 10 out of 10 confident they're getting in. So.
Well, and, they win those 2 games, then they're on a bit of a little win streak, and they've got 2 tough games to finish out the regular season, right? You've got Louisville and you've got Syracuse, who are both, towards the top of the standings. Or I believe they're 2 and 3 right now. And so, you get a little bit of momentum going into those 2 games, and you never know what's going to happen. You got Syracuse at home. Obviously, you have to go on the road to Louisville to finish things off. And then, of course, you've got the ACC tournament as well. And so I think that'll be fun to watch, and depending on their draw and what that looks like.
Bitten by the party animal in the YouTube chat says, hope you aren't getting this from On 3-2. No, Bitten. I do my own work. I've been spitting out these numbers for probably the past month now. Like the NCAA obviously puts out the net rankings. That's where those come from. And that's what I think a lot of people, like Notre Dame fans who are worried about Notre Dame getting in, they have a 26 net ranking now. They've been sitting around 30th. There are, I think, 37 at-large teams. They have a 26 net ranking. And a good chunk of the teams in front of them are going to get automatic bids.
Because they win their conference.
Yeah. So, they're going to get in. It's just a matter of what their seed is going to be. I really think you can stop, worrying about whether or not they're going to get in. They're going to get in. It's just a matter of what seed.
Right. Yeah, and what that path looks like, where they have to go for the first couple of rounds, that kind of stuff. And yeah, and Party Animals, he's a everyday guy.
I mean, I had a feeling he was joking about the on 3, but just to make sure. But
yeah, I'm not worried about the Lady Irish right now. Like I said, if they can do some damage on those last 2 games too, get a little momentum going into the ACC tournament,
right?
It's gonna be fun.
If they play like they played yesterday, this is part of the quandary with this team, because they have a game like yesterday where they beat one of the top teams in the conference, like a legit can be hosting, potentially first and second round NCAA tournament games that, an NC State team yesterday, but, they went on the road and just didn't look good at all. A week before that against Virginia, it's kind of the up and down.
Yeah,
with this team,
that's
but
very true.
There's just, there's a little more inconsistency this year, but I mean, like, play like that, play like they played yesterday, and they'll have no problems. It was a good day to be a wrestler named Vince or Vinny.
Yeah, no kidding.
Over the weekend. Did you see? I didn't even realize it until Vince McCoy from Riley High School, 106-pound semi-state champion yesterday, and then Vinny Freeman won the 175-pound title. He is one of 10 wrestlers from the area to advance to state. But those 2 guys, Freeman from Penn, McCoy from Riley, winning semi-state championships. That is not easy to do. A lot of guys went by the wayside this weekend at semi-state.
Yeah, because you've got to win 2 rounds at semi-state, because the previous 2 rounds, so the sectionals and then the regionals, if you win your first bout of the day, you get to move on to the next week. Mm-hmm. And then you've got 2 matches to see what where you're going to be ranked 1st through 4th. Semi-state is where the rubber meets the road, because you've got to win 2 matches in order to get to the 1 through 4 placing rounds. So you got to win like Vinny did, and Vince. You've got to win 4 matches in one day against elite competition.
Right. So it's a 16-man bracket, so you've got to
That's not an easy thing to do. And so, yeah, hats off to both of those guys, because it's really, really important. Obviously, it's important to win your first 2, because now you're moving on. You're going to state. It's awesome. It's great. But then it becomes about the seeding, and that's where it's really, really important, because, if you're a 1 seed, you're playing a 4 seed from another semi-state.
Right.
And if you're a 4 seed, you're playing a 1. Like, that's so winning it for both of those guys means they've got a great opportunity to advance when they get down to Indianapolis, because you got to win your first one. If you don't win your first one, you're done. Like, you go down Friday, you lose, you're going right back home. If you win that first round,
don't really care for that. Don't care for that myself. See, like when I was in high school, like it was called a pull-through bracket. So like, if you lost your first round match, which I did my junior year at state, you had to wait to see if the guy who beat you won his next match. If he won, you stayed around. If he lost, you're gone.
That's why I've never heard of that before.
But like, this doesn't even have that. It's either you win that first match or you are done. And I really don't like it, especially, like when you talk about how difficult it is just to get to semi-state and get there to state. I don't like penalizing guys like that. It's like, I realize it takes a little bit longer for consolation rounds and all that stuff, but when you're having a single class state wrestling tournament, I think it should be more than one and done in that first round, personally. But
well, you're the former wrestler. I just go with what I've been able to witness and watch and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's 16-man fields for all the for 14 weight classes, and so that's a lot of kids, obviously. And I don't know. Have you been to a state tournament here in Indiana?
I never have.
It is an event, man. I will say that. Sure. I went last year for the first time ever, because people were just telling me, you got to go. It's what if you're going to be in Indiana, it's like one of the bucket list things. You got to check it off. And so I went with my kid last year. He had some friends that made it to state. And so we're like, you know what? This is the best opportunity to go. I know the kids, that kind of stuff. And so we went, and it is all day. Like, you get there first thing in the morning, and it is all day, because they've got to figure out, okay, 1 through 8, and you've got to wrestle all the way through, to make that happen. And you get to see all the wrestling coaches dress up in their shirt and ties for
Uh-huh.
the finals. And it's a really cool event. And the fact that it's held, where the Pacers play down there in
Cambridge.
Indiana,
Yeah.
it's really, really cool. I will say that. So
Freeman's got a guy named Paul Woods from Leo in the
yes.
first round. That'll be Friday afternoon in Indianapolis. They're starting with the upper weight classes at 3 and then the lower weight classes at 6 o'clock, 106 to 144. But I was looking at Vinnie Freeman's 175-pound bracket, and he's 35-3. And there are a couple guys with 2 losses on his side of the bracket. The other side of the bracket, like he's in the bottom half of the bracket, and the other half of the bracket, there's a guy with 1 loss. There's an undefeated guy, Sean Breedlove from Center Grove. I don't know if Freeman has faced him during the season or not. But then there's a couple guys with just 1 loss, and one of them just lost. He took 3rd place at his semi-state this past weekend, and that was his first loss of the season. So it looks like, again, I don't know a lot of these specific names, but just in terms of the records, there's a couple 1-loss guys and a no-loss guy. Other than there's like a couple 2-loss guys on Freeman's side of the bracket. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no, he was so Vinny was ranked number 1 in his weight class in the state of Indiana right around Christmas time. He lost a controversial match, I believe, at the Al Smith, and I think that dropped his ranking a little bit. So I believe he's currently 6th in Indiana. But man, I'll tell you what, I watched him during the regional. I watched him during conference because they were both hosted at Penn and I was doing the PA. And so this kid's on a mission, man. Like, this is his 4th time going to state. He has placed
a couple times,
placed
3rd
twice
last year.
Yeah, 3rd last year, 6th his freshman year. He won regionals for the 4th time ever, which is the first time that's ever happened in Penn high school history, and they have some deep history. So it's going to be I just feel like he's on a mission. Like, I feel bad for anybody that has to face Vinnie Freeman as a senior down at state. It's going to be fun to watch.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. All right. So that's this weekend, state tournament down in Indianapolis. Good luck to Vinnie Freeman. Good luck to Mr. Vince McCoy from Riley and the other area wrestlers who are still alive as well. I know that was it McCabe, the other Penn wrestler that made it? Is that the last name?
No, it's Angelo Vargo.
Sorry. I don't know why I was thinking.
He's a lower weight class. I don't know exactly. He's probably about the 132, maybe something like along those lines. Yeah. So
he looked a lot smaller based on the photo that I saw. But I think there's like 1 Mishawaka guy who made it, 3 New Prairie guys. And
New Prairie's a force. There's no doubt about that. They got some former state champ from last year as a freshman, by the way.
Yep. Let's break for the top of the hour, then rapid fire coming up. We ended up pushing a little bit farther than I thought we would. Rapid fire coming up, hour 2. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. It's Budweiser's weekday Sportsbeat with IrishBreakdown.com. We've come to hour 2. That means it's rapid fire time. Bobby Hensley is in the house. I don't know why Vince is pointing at him right now. Are you taunting each other? Is that what's going on here in the
Maybe
in
he's
the YouTube?
happy to see me.
I'm excited to have the entertainment piece in the house.
Oh, Sean's plenty entertaining, isn't he? You're talking about the high school state tournament. What's the most random sporting event you've ever been to that ended up being fun? I'm sure you've been to a lot, both of you.
I have been to a lot of sporting events, but most of them have been at the high school level, and I don't know that I would call any of them random per se. That I would actually enjoy watching, because that's tough.
Like, I guess for me, I went to Hinkle for a volleyball state championship.
Okay.
But I didn't think it'd be that exciting, and even that was quite the experience.
See, I can't go there because my immediate boss at Penn High School was a former All-American volleyball player.
Really?
Yeah. And she's like 6'6", 6'7", something like that. And so she was like going to be in the Olympics and then got injured. But she's amazing. She's an amazing volleyball player. But she was an All-American at Loyola Marymount. So
That's awesome.
So volleyball is the best. I'm going to make sure everybody understands volleyball is the
Don't
best.
want to get in trouble. Sorry, didn't mean to set you up there.
No. I'm obviously joking around, and she would crack up if she heard this. But I don't know, man. I've been to a bunch of stuff, and it's always enjoyable when you know kids that are involved. I will say that.
Right. That's the thing. People that kind of
Right.
grabs your interest no matter what.
And honestly, for me, that's wrestling, because I don't know anything about wrestling. And one day they like called me in to do the PA, you kind of have to know the sport. You got to learn the sport in order to do PA for it, And so I just kind of dove in head first, and now I really enjoy watching it, man. I get fired up with everybody else.
And especially you get to the state level, it's a lot of premier athletes. It's not, runaway matches.
Well, and Sean can attest to this. Like, there's so much different strategy and all that for the lower weight classes, the little guys.
Mhm.
They're lightning fast and quick. And then as you get bigger and bigger and bigger, it's more about strength and
pushing against each other.
And then you got the heavyweights that are just like two panda bears, just crashing into each other. So it's fun. I really enjoy it.
Did you have one, Bobby, since you asked the question?
Oh, I said the volleyball.
Oh, the volleyball.
And then I cut you off. Yeah.
That's right.
No, you're good. I had to cover it, and I didn't think anything of it. And I'm like, well, this is going to be a weird assignment. We went down, and I'd never been to Hinkle, and that was a cool venue because of all the history there. And then the actual competition was really fun. It's so fast, and I was like, wow, these people are a lot more athletic than I am. And then that was only high school level.
Rob says the tetherball national championship. I didn't know there was such a thing.
Well, didn't either. That's
it's on the Ocho, I bet.
The one that I think that would be fun. I've never been to it, but after watching the movie, and now the name of the movie is escaping me, the one about the ping pong player, Marty Supreme. I went to see Marty Supreme and it's about competitive ping pong. That looks like that would be kind of exciting.
Well, it's kind of, it's a summer event, but in the Olympics, you watch that, and I don't even know how they can see the ball, much less put spin on it.
Let me ask you this. Would you rather watch the Pro Bowl or pro bowling?
Oh, man.
I think I would go pro bowling.
I would too.
Sure.
I would too.
Not as boring as it sounds, because it's one-on-one. It's kind of like the rest. It's a match. You have to see who wins against each other.
Listen, I'm right there with you. It's bowling for me. I had zero interest in bowling, and my kid got involved his senior year. He's like, I'm going to join the bowling team. And I'm like, what? He goes, Dad, I'm only going to have this opportunity one time. I was like, whatever, I'll go. And so it's a different world, man. High school bowling, number one, it takes hours and hours to complete matches and stuff, but people get into it. It's intense.
Yeah, Indianapolis hosts the professional biggest match of the year coming up at the first week of March. Just a little plug for them, the PBA. But yeah, the high school one, it's weird too, because a lot of different places have different rules depending on the weekend and who's hosting and what the tournament is.
All it took was a little opening for Bobby to just sidetrack rapid fire right off the top.
So. Well, it wasn't right off the top because you guys went 10 minutes long last hour.
That's what we do.
All right, so I saw this posted on the Champions Lounge the other day. Is Michael Mayer an NFL bust? Vince, how would you answer that?
Bust is hard. I mean, he's still obviously in the NFL. I mean, he didn't get cut, I don't believe. Right. It was an awkward place for him to go because of the tight end situation that was there when he arrived. Like, leave it to the Raiders to basically screw Michael Mayer. Like, that's how I feel that went down. And
draft a tight end next year, Brock Bowers.
Like, it's just, I think if he was anywhere else, it would be a completely different story. So I'm not ready to call him a bust because I think he is supremely talented. But, I mean, it's going to the Raiders is like going to Cleveland. Like, you just go in there to die.
It might be worse these days.
I know.
That's a tough one because I don't know if it's a bust, but based on where he was drafted at, you kind of got to say he's at least underperforming for his draft position.
He was a high second round pick, very early in the second round. I think he was 35th overall.
But like Vince said, why would you draft a tight end the next year and make him your premier target and not give Mayer any touches hardly? He'd had 300 some receiving yards this year. That's not enough to be considered worth a second round draft pick. So I think he's underperforming for his draft position, but he's only 24 years old. I don't think you can write the book on him because he's still in the league. He's still physically talented. We saw it in college. He's still gifted physically. I still think he's got some life left in him, but I think he's underperforming.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough because of the fact that they did go out and draft another tight end, but they're different kinds of tight ends as well. Like Michael Mayer is the classic Y tight end, the inline guy, whereas Bowers is more the U tight end, a little bit more dynamic, explosiveness, twitchy kind of guy. And that's like, so you can't completely evaluate Mayer in the same way that you would evaluate a guy like Bowers or, who is more a Gronk type guy, there are different kinds of tight ends, and Michael Mayer is just a different kind of tight end. So blocking for him is still part of the deal, and he is still playing. He is still in the NFL. Now, you do expect more receiving production from a guy like Mayer because of the fact that you drafted him high in the second round. But again, you went out and drafted another tight end the next year. So like right off the, I think that they, there were talks a couple of years ago that they were going to try to trade him. I'm sure that they probably weren't going to get as much as, they wanted out of him. But I have a feeling that if Michael Mayer gets an opportunity, I'm not going to say he's going to go out and become 1,000-yard tight end, but I just feel like if he goes to another team, he's got an opportunity. There's still a lot of upside. There's still a lot of tread on the tires for Michael Mayer. So I think it's still for Michael Mayer. I think it's too early to call him a bust.
But I mean, look at how you can still use two tight ends effectively in the NFL. I just don't think the Raiders do a very good job of it. Look at the Bears. Colton Loveland and Cole Kmet were both integral parts in what they were trying to do offensively in Chicago. Both successful. I'm sure both aren't complaining about their role. You know what I mean? Like, you can do it, but you got to know what you're doing, too.
I mean, Salty says Brock Bowers is managing to make it work with the Raiders, though. Again, it's because they're different kinds of tight ends, and they drafted Bowers in the first round the next year, and he is the more classic, like, this is the guy who's going to get all the yards tight end. There's nothing saying that Mayer isn't making it work. He's just not going to have the same kind of receiving numbers because you've got Brock Bowers, who is that U tight end, the unattached, like for Notre Dame fans, he is much more, like there's Anthony Fasano and then there's Tyler Eifert. Mayer, while more dynamic, I think, than Fasano, is still like that's the, more the mold of Mayer, whereas Bowers is more the Tyler Eifert, again, explosiveness, dynamic, and that kind of stuff. That's why he's the guy who's producing more right now.
Yeah. I'm surprised Vince didn't point out that Pete Carroll is coaching the Raiders, and he would never let a Notre Dame guy do well on his team. He's going to bury him on the depth chart. But, you're right. There are teams that can make two tight ends work. Even the Chiefs, they have Kelsey, but they have Noah Gray, I think is his name. They use sparingly. And then you look at the Ravens, and they have Likely and Mark Andrews that they use both of them. So you can have more than one tight end on a pro system and have it work. Like there's nothing with the Raiders that the Raiders are a bust themselves.
Yeah.
Gentry looked okay, but I think other than that, there's hardly and Bowers, obviously, but their roster is in so much trouble, and the coaching's been doing so poorly. They've had a different coach the last 3 years. I don't think that Mayer should even be really judged for his career yet. He's only 24.
Yeah. Like I said, there's still a lot more opportunity for Michael Mayer. So I think it's too early to call him a bust. You expect a different kind of production out of a guy you draft that high. But again, like, okay, Raiders don't go out and draft a tight end. It's kind of like the Lions drafting wide receivers in the first round every year, in that stretch where they had when Matt Millen was the general manager.
And not really having any of them hit.
No, not having any of them hit.
No.
All right, guys, I want to get your opinion on this. There is a talking point that's kind of emerged in ACC women's basketball circles for the player of the year balloting, because we're coming down like 2 weeks from now. My ballot's going to have to be turned in for ACC women's basketball player of the year, and other people are going to have to turn their ballots in, obviously. So Hannah Hidalgo leads the ACC in both scoring and steals. She leads the nation in steals. She's third in the nation in scoring. So, like, statistically, and you watch her game, she's obviously a top player in the ACC, right? She's the reigning ACC player of the year. There is at least some sentiment that is starting to go around now about people who won't vote for her for ACC player of the year because Notre Dame is in 9th place in the conference. They're not up toward the top, competing for a chance to win the conference. So my question to you guys is, should that matter when you're talking about conference player of the year?
No, it should not matter. It should have nothing to do with it because you're looking for the best player. That's the definition of the award. Who is the best player? Not who inspires their team to be better. It's not any of that stuff. It's who's the best player. It's basically this faction of people that are talking about not voting for her because Notre Dame as a team is in the middle of the conference are the same people that probably vote for the quarterback on the best football team for the Heisman.
Exactly. Best quarterback on the best team.
That's not what the dang award is for.
Right.
It never was meant to be that. And too many people are changing it into that. Don't do that for the ACC player of the year. That's so stupid.
Wow. You seem a little passionate. Are you okay?
I am passionate about it.
No, the player of the year, it says it right there in the title. It's the player of the year. It's not the player of the year on the best performing team.
Correct.
I feel like if you wanted to vote for someone else because you think they're a better player or having a better season, you can make the argument because individual awards and team sports are hard anyway. But to say that, no, she can't win it because she's on a losing team is just false. There's plenty of good players over time in every league that have won awards on bad teams. It's not unheard of. So to use that as your excuse, I think is garbage.
Yes, I agree. And I don't understand where this is coming from. It's a conversation I had yesterday with the NC State radio guy. And he brought this up, and there have been, other media on social media who I've seen kind of talking about this point in terms of who could end up winning ACC player of the year. But literally the description of this award is the most outstanding player. It is not a team award. It is not best player on the best team. It is not the player who elevates a team to a championship. It's not like you're obligated. There's no definition of the award that says your team needs to be one of the, either the champion in the conference or the second place team in the conference or whatever. The teams at the top of the conference are there, especially in this conference, based on everything that I've seen, because I've seen them all now at this point, they have deeper rosters, that's why they're at the top of the conference. Yesterday, NC State had players like Zoe Brooks and Camille Pierre, who I think, there's at least some consensus that they're going to be in the running for player of the year. And they're a few spots above Notre Dame, but look at what happened, yesterday. They, like they're both really good players, but they lost to Notre Dame. So like, it's just baffling to me that anyone thinks that you need to be competing for the championship and you're supposed to be the top player on one of the top teams in the conference to be worthy of player of the year. It is literally supposed to go to the best player in the conference.
See, I kind of think of it as if we were to redo this whole conference, who's the player that you would draft first to your roster? And I think Hannah Hidalgo is obviously going to be that. So I don't understand any of the logic of, well, she's on an underperforming team.
Right. And I mean, I think you look at again, like if you took one of those players, if you took one player off those other teams that are above Notre Dame in the conference standings right now, I think they'd be within a couple spots of where they are. But like if you took Hidalgo off the Irish roster, you're having a completely different conversation, I think, for this season.
No doubt.
Yeah, without her, the whole season would be a waste right now.
I mean, if you even want to make it most valuable, she still wins that award because she's clearly the most valuable player to her team.
See, it's also not like she's just a mid-level player that has a name or a star power. She's performing. She has the stats. She has the numbers. She's the one dominating the court for the Irish. Anyone that would say that she's not deserving of the player of the year, I don't see any logic in that argument. And then especially to use that the team's not undefeated, basically, as your logic is even worse.
No, I agree. I obviously agree. I wanted to, again, kind of get your feel for this because, again, like you guys obviously follow sports, so you really don't even have to know sort of the specifics, I think, to be able to have that conversation. Justin is asking who the competition is. I think that the name that has emerged in terms of top competition is Toby Fournier from Duke. She is their best player. She's a sophomore, and Duke is undefeated in the ACC right now. That's kind of where a lot of it has started. And to me, like she's a good player, but if she were to get it, it would literally just be she's the best player on the team that won the conference. She is not the best player in the conference. And the other players in competition, again, I think are the two players, Zoe Brooks and Camille Pierre. Pierre for NC State had her 7th straight double-double yesterday. She's got 17 double-doubles this season, which is the 3rd most in the country. And then I think the other player who will be in the mix is Taj Roberts from Louisville. They're in 2nd place right now. I think that is, those 5 players in whatever order they in are going to, they'll be at the top of the voting for player of the year.
And that's why they have 1st team, 2nd team, 3rd team, or whatever. They can all make 1st team together, and it'd be great. But Hannah Hidalgo is the best player on the in the league, and it's not close.
Yeah, I don't think it's close either. There's a bigger argument for having the individual awards in team sports, but if you're actually going to give it to the best player, there's no way you can look at her numbers, her resume, what she does for.
Well, how could you say that the player who is leading your conference in both scoring and steals is not the best player? And that's like just 2 of the things. She's also I think it's like maybe 5th in assists. And by the way, her assist numbers keep going up. In terms of free throws attempted and free throws made, she is in the top 15 in the nation right now, which again, puts you at the top of your conference. Everything, the percentages, all these, by any statistical measure, there's really no doubt, but you're trying to bring team performance into the equation, which is not what that award is supposed to be for. I'm curious to see in a couple of weeks if we're having an even bigger debate on this when the voting actually comes out. We've got to take a break. When we come back, more rapid fire. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Rapid fire continues on Budweiser's weekday sports beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Sean Stires along with Vince DeDario and Bobby Hensley taking you through the 6 o'clock hour. Just always spirited conversations or something like that. When
they're at least conversations.
Yeah, we're filling the airtime.
Yeah.
That's what you bring us in for.
That's right. That's right. I want to talk about this one while the football season is at least still a little bit fresh on our minds. Fill in the blank. TV rules analysts are blank.
Oh, complete waste of time now in 2026. They were niche when they first started.
Novel little.
Yeah, like I was okay with it.
Yeah.
But now I feel like it's insulting. Because we've got like super slow-mo replay. You know, the announcers know enough about football that I don't need the rules analyst anymore. Okay. And I feel like I know enough about football where I don't need the rules analyst. They're superfluous. A lot of times they even forget that they're there. And they're like, oh, wait, we got to go back and talk to the rules analyst and ask him his opinion.
9 times out of 10, they're just telling us what we can already see
Correct.
on the screen. And I'll let you jump in here in a second, Bobby, but I'll just, throw in my 2 cents. Like I feel like the analysts aren't really analyzing the game anymore because they're leaning on these guys as a crutch. And the first time they see something, they're like, all right, Gene, what do you see? It's just like, it's nonsense. It is annoying. Like, I don't need these guys to tell me it's a fumble when I can see that it's a fumble. Like if you're going to actually explain the rule. But otherwise, it is just a waste of time, I think, anymore.
Well, you guys haven't left me a whole lot left here because I agree with you. I would say unnecessary for a lot of the same reasons. One, why you have an analyst and a play-by-play guy if they don't know the rules? That makes them look stupid. Two, sometimes how often do you see where they bring Gene in and they've already actually made the call? Like they've already adjusted, made the call. By the time that he gets woken up in New York and brought in for the call,
woken up
and looks it up, it's already been decided and it's over with. And I don't like that he's not. A lot of times, Super Bowl is different, but a lot of the games he's not even at that booth. He's in New York watching all the games.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like it's not needed. I don't. And then the stuff they do explain, it's almost so into the woods of it that like. It's either way over explaining that we don't need to know.
And there was one a couple of weeks ago.
It's obvious. Yeah.
I think it was during one of the CBS games with Nance and Romo. So it would have been Gene Steratore. He's their analyst. Like they called something on the field. And so he explains it, in a way that backs up what they called on the field. But then they ended up reversing it. And so then he explains it to back up the fact that they, that the call was different. So again, it's just like they're not really. None of them want to be wrong. They don't want to go against what's out there on the field. They don't want to critique their fellow officials. Like remember, what was his name? Mike Carey, like the precursor to Steratore on CBS. He was like one of the first TV analysts, and he was just wrong all the time. Yeah. Like he would come in and he was like, "Well, it's going to be this," and then it turned out to be something else. And like after one season, boom, he was gone. So like. Nobody wants to be that, but it's just they're not giving us anything that we really like. Again, we don't need them for the obvious stuff. If you want to bring them in for something that really needs to be explained, like I felt the biggest whiff was that Broncos Bills was it the Broncos Bills or was it the Broncos Patriots? The backward pass that Stidham, it would have been the Broncos Patriots. What turned up being that backwards pass that Stidham had that the Patriots recovered, like Nance and Romo were kind of fumbling around trying to figure it out. Steratore never really came in and explained what was going on. It's like, literally, dude, that's your job.
That's your whole job.
This is what we need you for. And he never really came in and explained it. They just kind of rolled right through it.
Well, I feel like, those guys are sitting there waiting to be called in. And if those guys don't call them in, they don't say anything. And what is it that you say you do here? Like, right. There's no point.
What's your job again?
Yeah, there's no point in having him there. And I'm sure he's getting paid handsomely for his golden parachute retirement job to sit there and explain stuff we already know the answer to. It's just complete waste of time.
the main booth, they're at least got some TV chops in them because they're doing the whole game. The rules analysts, I always feel like they're like their number one goal is to protect the brethren of the referees.
Very true.
So when they do their spots, they're always going to side with the referees and try and come at it from protecting that fraternity of them. And that's what always has turned me against it. Even if they are explaining something, I'm like, well, yeah, but you're just trying to cover up for Ed Hockley or whatever.
No, exactly. Johnny says they need to make the command centers the final call on replay. You know, like the ACC did that thing during the college season.
That was cool.
You could see what was going on, and I feel like you get more out of that because you hear them talking through what's going on, so you naturally get the explanation. I don't know why we don't just get more of that. It would, you know, like I'm sure the rules analysts don't want it, but again,
the UFL does that.
Ones. Yeah,
that's one of the things.
That's where they got it from. Yeah.
I mean, it feels like would they just be better off if it was AI? You know, like if you had like AI John Madden come in and go, well, so here's what's going on. This is what, you know, like it feels like we'd all be just better off. I
just need to
not
cancel
that I'm
it.
advocating for AI.
Just get rid of it completely. Just get rid of it completely. Yeah. Where I need my AI is on first downs. That's all I need. Like just make that. That's fine. Like first down calls, because the human eye is not always great. And even when they go back to replay, like if you're trying to figure out where the ball is in a big pile, it's impossible. So if you go ahead.
And tennis has been doing that for how long? Where you see that replay where the ball lands next to the line.
Right.
I just want to be consistent because I feel like in baseball, I want an umpire to do balls and strikes. So I got to say in football, I want the refs to be able to spot the ball. I don't want AI for that.
Like, don't you think? No, I mean, this is different, but like you brought up baseball. Like baseball is kind of less exciting because of, you know, the fact that we have replay and like there's less like good arguments to be had.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like
that's fair.
It's taken away that because of the fact, and it's good that they get the calls right, but it's just like you've obviously taken the human factor out of it, and there's less arguments that you know where the manager just gets to go off on the umpire. It seems like.
Yeah, so, especially on a day game after a late game, they can get thrown out early.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a fan of. There's just too much replay. Every play
I think so too.
like it gets replayed.
Again, if you're going to stop things down, why have a guy stumble and bumble through an explanation that's just going to justify the call on the field when you can just flip on a mic and watch what's going on in the command center and listen to them talk through it and get the natural explanation that way.
Right.
So like you don't have to hear a bunch of excuses. You can hear why they're making the call the way they made the call.
Well, and sometimes I wonder if they stall and dilly-dally around to let the rules analysts get a little say in there. I don't need any of it. Every sport, it seems like they're talking about ways to speed up the game, and then they have all this superlative stuff that we don't need.
Well, and I realize we're talking mostly about football, but man, I tell you what, the LSU South Carolina women's basketball game Saturday, I don't know if you guys saw any of that, but they had Dee Cantor, who's a former official, doing replay review on that, and it was brutal. She just whiffed on like almost everything that she was talking about. She was never that great an official to begin with, even though she thought she was, but now she's sitting courtside. You know, like one time she's like, well, I don't really have the same kind of angle that they have out there on the court, so I can't talk about it. And there was another time where they called a simple travel out on the wing, and they showed the replay of the woman, like she had what they said was she picked up her pivot foot. And so I think she had come to a stop. So her pivot foot was her right foot. She steps forward with her left foot, and then she brought her right foot off the ground when she did it. Like, that's a simple travel. Right. And she looks at that replay and goes, no, I don't see anything that would justify.
Of course not.
It's like, are you kidding? It's like the easiest travel that you could possibly call. And both of the announcers are just kind of sitting there stunned, like, you didn't see traveling?
See, that's when I like the rules analysts, because it's like, it almost shows how flawed a lot of the referees are. And it's amazing how many good plays they make and how accurate they are across the board. And I do mean that honestly, but when they're wrong, sometimes it's epically wrong. And like you say, we can see it in real time. And maybe we do have a better line of vision because we're watching it through the cameras, not on the field. But that's funny because a travel call like that, that's not a argumentative call. They
No.
lifted your foot.
No. Fill in the blank. NBC bringing out John Tesh for a live version of his classic round ball rock before the NBA All-Star game last night is blank.
You got one?
I was just to say, cool to hear. I didn't watch any of the game.
Well, I didn't watch it either, but I went back and watched it after I went through the run through. And
It's a good call.
Yep, thank you. Doing my homework.
For
You know, and and he was introduced by Bob Costas, who they also brought back out of mothballs for the NBA and NBC. And so, you know, I thought it was cool. I mean, you know, I associate that music with the NBA from back in the 90s. And so, like, it conjures up, you know, some definite feelings, I guess, some nostalgia for me. It's a shame he looks as old as he is.
And that's the thing. It's like, how many people watching that, like how many people in their 30s and younger were watching that game going, who's this guy again? And they have no idea what this song is, you know? So like for old heads like us, like I'm kind of surprised how much NBC is just leaning on straight up nostalgia for bringing back the NBA and Major League Baseball for that matter. Like, so yeah, it's kind of cool. It's like a live performance, but it's like, okay, gray-haired dude out on the court rocking to round ball rock. You know, like I wonder how many of those people again who were watching that broadcast even had any idea what that song even was.
Yeah, well, screw them. I enjoyed it because I like John Tesh. I like that song. It did land for me. There's nostalgia in it. I think that's cool. And you know, is there ever going to be theme songs like that to any of the sports leagues like we used to have?
No, there's not. Like the college football theme for I think CBS is iconic. Like you had all these ones from the 80s and 90s and things like that. They're never going to have anything like that again, and it's a shame. You know, and it's going to sound like an old man, and that's okay. It's a shame they don't have that stuff anymore.
Okay, well you brought up Bob Costas because he's going to be their pregame host for Major League Baseball on NBC. They're getting the Sunday Night Baseball package this year. So scale of 1 to 10, how much does Costas move the needle for you guys?
Costas is like an 8 for me. And I think it's probably because of the nostalgia aspect of it. Because when I think of Bob Costas, I think of the Olympics. You know, I think of NBC, you know, related events. And, you know, my childhood was watching all of that stuff. And he's kind of the narrator to a lot of my childhood memories of watching sports. So I'm in on Bob.
All right, I'll go the other way on this one. I'll say it's a 1. It's a pregame show. How many MLB pregame shows are you actually going to watch this summer on Sunday evening?
0, but I like the fact that he's doing it.
So he's not moving the needle for you to watch. I understand the nostalgia, and Al Michaels is kind of like that as well. These guys are getting so old. I just need more current, modern. Like Mike Tirico should be the one hosting it. I feel like. I know you can't have the guy work every single sporting event for NBC all year long. You can't. But something about his voice is more modern. It's the NBC of now, whereas Costas, he's covered so many things, but I remember him going on a rant after a Kentucky Derby, and I'm like, why are you still talking?
And this is the thing,
kind of like me, right?
Like, well, that's very true. Now that you mention it, no, I mean, I give this a 2 because, you know, I'm obviously older than both of you guys, so you know, I grew up watching when NBC still had baseball the first time, listening to Bob Costas and, you know, listening to him wax poetic and all that kind of stuff. But the older Bob Costas has gotten, the more he's just lecturing us about everything all the time.
I haven't heard him say anything in years, so it's like they're kind of pulling him out of mothballs to do something.
Well, yeah, I mean, he did a baseball game, a playoff game for MLB Network a couple years ago, and he botched a home run call, and that was pretty much it. And so now, you know, pregame and you know, doing actual play-by-play are 2 different things. But it's just like, I feel like we could invigorate this a little bit more, you know. I like no offense, boomers, because, you know, because I'm right in the middle of boomer, you know, like I'm not a boomer, I guess is
no, you're not a boomer. You're too young for that.
My parents are boomers, but
yes,
you know,
my parents are boomers as well.
Like, do we need, like, this is 2026. Did we really need to go back to Bob Costas? I feel like there are a lot of younger, you know, like, isn't like I thought that the goal of this whole thing by all these, different, whether it's Major League Baseball, NBA, was to target younger demographics, but it feels like they're just playing to the older demographic, which they have said they're trying to, veer younger. So like the Bob Costas play, the John Tesh play, I guess I just don't get them.
I guess like a guy like Max Veskursion, he'd be a good fit for something like that.
Perfect example. Yeah.
But like football, you have Rich Eisen, who is the baseball guy, I guess. So maybe that's why they're bringing Costas, because he's still associated with baseball more than any announcer almost. I just don't need him. I think he's too old.
I don't either.
And I feel like he's gotten so much into his bag. Like he just thinks I am Bob Costas,
right?
Instead of actually being in the moment.
And that's what I'm saying. Because again, like he was like, total nostalgia play. He was one of the voices of baseball for me growing up. But I feel like he passed his prime.
Well, he's lived through most of the baseball, so because he's 73.
That is very true. So is John Tesh, for that matter.
Mike Tirico's 60 almost, so he's not exactly a spring chicken.
No, but like I say, who's the face of baseball?
But I would say Tirico is still in his prime,
here.
though.
Yeah.
I mean, more so than Costas. Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, but that's what it would have been cool to have a guy like Vince Scully or John Miller back in the day to have those guys on. But I don't know who they could get now, except for Veskursion or someone like that.
Yeah. Sean Stewart says Joe Buck. Well, he works for ESPN ABC, so it's like you have to work around those. But there's plenty of guys, like you brought up Matt Veskursion. He works for MLB Network. There are plenty of guys working for MLB Network who I think would be suitable. Like even Amsinger. Like he's not a big name, but
well, I like Benetti. I'll pick him for anything. I think he'd be great to host national broadcast.
But he'll probably be doing some of the play-by-play, won't he?
Yeah, I think he's in the mix for that. He did some Peacock stuff last year.
Yeah. A lot of controversies, not the right word, but like this whole NBA All-Star format. I don't want to get like into too many of the weeds. I'll save a little bit of it for Jesse tomorrow. I just feel like NBA All-Star weekend, just roll out Steph Curry and have him play horse from all over the arena. Like, did you see the video where he was up on the broadcast platform and he made the shot from like 90 feet away or something like that? Just like have Steph Curry travel around the arena, like that old Michael Jordan, Larry Bird commercial, like off the whatever. And like, just have Steph Curry do that. And it feels like that could be your All-Star weekend.
It'd be better than what they're doing now, which is why they had Bob Costas and, that's why they had them out there, because nobody's watching. And if you watch on social media, like they were looking around, like they didn't even fill the arena. Like an NBA arena, they couldn't even fill the NBA arena with all of their stars playing. They couldn't even fill it.
Well,
so it's like,
I mean, I'm a little bit younger, but I was more excited about Saturday night and the skills challenge than I was the game on Sunday.
See, and I think that's even gone. Like, there's no buzz with the slam dunk competition.
None. I don't need that
anymore.
3-point shootout and the skills and the dribbling, and that stuff's fun.
Yeah,
is it?
Well, it's more fun than the game, than the actual All-Star game.
We're asking the wrong guy, Vince.
You absolutely are.
So, but I generally agree with what you're saying. We're still asking the wrong guy.
And I will be right on top of that. I'm with you on that one.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
All right, that is going to do it for tonight. Bobby, enjoyed it ish as always. Vince,
much as ever.
Vince, good fun. Thanks everybody for being here. We will talk to you tomorrow. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com.